Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as always, we'll be talking about our weekly Torah portion, Parshas BeHar, on the mountain, obviously, Mountain Sinai. And it's not like always because of the leap year. Thank God we can read those two portions, BeHar and Bechukatai, separately and dedicate the entire video for each of those portions that you usually read together. In this weekly Torah portion, we begin with the definition, not necessarily definition of time, but kind of the planning ahead in time. We're talking about the seventh year, meaning you will count 7 times 7 years, and then it's going to be Jubilee, the 50th year. But the same mechanism and the same idea of counting we have in the previous chapter, when we have a mitzvah of counting Sfiras HaOmer, the counting of Omer, the mitzvahs that we are observing right now between after the first day of Passover until the 50th day on Shavuot. We count. It says in the Torah, in the last weekly Torah portion, you all will be counting 7 times 7 weeks, 49 days. On the 50th day is Shavuot. As I said, the same mechanism is about counting the years. You count 7 years. 7 years is the Shemitah, the sabbatical, and then 7 times you count 7 years, and you will have the Jubilee, the 50th year. But seemingly very simple, the simple mechanism. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about, but the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is in the details. Because if you will look how the mitzvah of Sfiras HaOmer, of counting the days, is given to us, it says in a plural that you will all count each one 7 days, 7 times, and so on. But in our weekly Torah portion, when it talks about Shemitah and counting of years, it says in singular. Obviously, in English, it doesn't sound singular because it's the same word, but it says that you, specifically one person, will count the years. The reason in this distinguishing small details, seemingly, it's extremely important, because the counting of the days, it's a personal thing, how many times you have a situation that you don't have enough time in the day. 24 hours is not enough, practically every day by me. But how you count the days? The way that you wake up, the day begins. The way you go to sleep, the days is over, and it's all personal. And that's why mitzvah of counting the days, it's personal for everybody. Everyone counts the days. But to count the years, it's much more complicated, and this is why it's in a singular, and it's a job of the judge, of the leader of Jewish nation. Why? Because you have to into consideration the astronomical criteria, the idea of the harvest, the weather, the seasons, and so on, and basically you make a decision for entire nation, which is a long-term decision. On a personal level, you make a current decision now, today, this day. On a general level, as the leader for entire nation, you make long-term decisions. And this kind of brings a certain inconsistency in the idea of the Jewish approach to life. We spoke about this many times, that the most important in Judaism is to live in this moment. And especially in the last 2,000 years, while we're in exile, we cannot plan ahead, because we were exiled from one country to another. We were immigrating from one place to another. We don't build palaces and family estates, because the Jews are unfortunately immigrating in every generation from one place to another, and we cannot plan ahead too much. We're obligated to live in this moment, and this intersection of the time and place, when we have in this particular moment there is a mitzvah that you can do, then this particular moment there is a transgression that you can preserve. There's in this particular moment there is a smile that you can give to another person, good words that you can say another person. The next moment it will not exist. The tefillin that you put today, it's not the tefillin of yesterday. If you didn't put tefillin yesterday, it's gone. However, on a general level, as we will see about planning ahead, it's a job of the leader, and we see it throughout all our generations, from our fathers, from Abraham, who purchased the first piece of land in land of Israel for the future generation. Even he buried his wife at that moment. For Yitzchak, who was digging the wells, and one of the wells that he dug was called by the name Rehovot. That 1,000 years later his descendants built the city of Rehovot, and exactly in the same place. And that weekly Torah portion, Yaakov, who sends Yehuda, his son, ahead ahead, to establish the education centers for the Jewish children, because education, this means to plan ahead, to plant the seeds of what doesn't mean to be a Jew. We see it in our sages, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who escaped from the besieged city of Jerusalem and asking one thing from Vespasianus: just give me Yavne with all her scholars, because he wants to preserve the tradition, continue the education. Rabbi Akiva, who invested himself fully into 24,000 students that died, and we commemorate this period of time right now during Sfiras HaOmer, but then he established a new school, new students, and he continued the Jewish education, and so on. In every generation there were people that planting the seeds and planning ahead, a single leader. And like the sages of the beginning of the 19th century, they planted the seeds of the future Zionism and return to the land of Israel, the land of our fathers that was planted before. That's the problem with the Jewish way of life. On one hand, you're obligated to live in time, in this moment, and to do whatever you can in this particular moment. But if you live only in the now, then you develop the culture of consumerism. Whatever I can get now, or I want this now, and the peace now, and everything now, and the generation disappears, but the civilization disappears. But as Lao Tzu said, if you want to build civilization, you must invest in the children education, and this is the job of the leader, to invest in the future. But if you live only with the future, you will miss the opportunity of now. This is how we live. Try to combine the both approaches, the now and the long-term planning. Thank you very much. Good luck. I see you next week.